Latino Goose back with another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing Onward, the new Disney Pixar film that just released. I got to watch it a couple days ago, and I'm going to give my 2 cents on the movie. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe for way more content, and plus I'll love you forever. A very quick disclaimer, I am not a professional critic. I'm just your average adult male who likes Disney films a whole lot, so, this is just my 2 cents on the whole matter. This is also my first real review. I did do a solo review. I might link it up if you want to watch that, I guess. Another disclaimer, this is a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the film, go watch it and come back. And if you're watching this already, I guess just sit back and relax. But anyway, on to the review. So Onward follows the story of 2 elf brothers, Ian and Barley, who live in a once magical realm, who have now moved away from magic and have moved on to a more easier life with technology. On Ian's 16th birthday, their mother gifts them a present from their deceased father, which just so happens to be a magical staff. Along with it is a spell to potentially see their father again for only 24 hours. Ian gets the spell half right, literally, as he only exposes his father's torso and legs. In the process, they destroy the Phoenix Gem, which powers the staff, and now their quest begins to find the Phoenix Gem and to see their father once again. So I like to keep things really simple on the channel. I'm going to talk about the things that I liked and the things that I didn't like. And of course, since I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, and you know that from the channel, if you've watched, if you haven't, subscribe. I'm going to call this The Light and The Darkness.
Show me again the power of the darkness.
That was a terrible Kylo Ren impression. I'm so sorry you had to see that. So I'm going to start things off with all the things that I liked about the film. And one of the things that I really loved was the animation. Being an art student and just loving animation and all that good stuff. Pixar, of course, they have great animation. I feel like the colors popped off the screen. I love the designs of the characters. I love the attention to detail to all the different fabrics. I was looking at fleece and wool sweaters, and you can see almost the individual stitch fabric, and which has become the standard for Pixar, I believe. So that's kind of a free gimme to me, giving them that. But it's always nice to see that they're keeping up their quality. Next, I want to talk about my favorite character from the film, and that was Barley, voiced by Chris Pratt. And this might be a little bit of bias towards Chris Pratt because I love him and his work. But I thought his character was really believable. I thought his character was really easy to root for. In the film, he's portrayed as this history nerd or history buff. He's the only one who really wants to embrace the days of yore, embrace magic, and everyone else is kind of nope, we're done with that nonsense. We're gonna stick with technology, phones, and all that. And he's super all about it. He plays Dungeons and Dragons, and it's super cool. He's a big nerd. I can relate to that, so I liked him. Plus, I also loved how humble he was. When Ian gets the spell right on the first go after Barley has failed multiple times over, he's not mad. He's actually super ecstatic for his little brother, and he's very supportive throughout the film. And I was really happy to see that because it was cool. He's a really humble, cool guy, and I don't feel like if I were in that position, would have been as supportive. I would have been pretty jaded. Man, I'm the one that does this and actually believes in it, and you get to do this, Plus, also, his motivation and the way how he acts now is revealed, how he got here, and I like how that is revealed. And the last thing I want to talk about is, of course, with every good Pixar Disney film, it has that good film, ooey gooey, golden center moment, like they always do, and their moral is so great. So now I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you want to stop now and, go watch the movie, do it now, and come back here, because now I'm going to start talking about spoilers in the film. So this also goes back to why I love Barley so much. So in the middle of their quest, Barley and Ian are riding on a giant Cheeto, and throughout the whole film, Barley talks about how he has 3 memories of his father, and while they're riding this giant Cheeto, he accidentally slips up and says, "Oh, now I have 4." And Ian questions, "I thought you've only had 3," which Barley then says, "Well, the 4th was not one that I really like to remember." That's, of course, as a kid, he remembers his father dying, and he had a chance to go say goodbye to him, but when he entered the room, and when he saw his father just hooked up to all the tubes and wirings, and he knew that that wasn't his father. He knew that he was going to lose his father. He was too scared, which caused him to not go in, and he regretted that. And from that day on, he would say he was never going to be scared again. He was going to be adventurous, and that's why he's so uplifting. That's why he's the person he is today, and I loved that. It made me tear up in the theaters, so I really appreciate that. Also, continuing off of that, towards the end of the film, something I really liked, and it was kind of a redeeming factor towards Ian, because I kind of, he was alright for me. He wasn't the best protagonist, but I thought this really redeemed him. Towards the end, of course, Ian has never seen his father. He passed away before Ian was born, and right when they have a chance to see the father, he gives the staff to Barley, or he gives the opportunity to Barley, so that he could basically make amends, and he can finally have his closure with his father. And I really, really love that, and that, again, really got a reaction out of me. I didn't cry, of course, because, I'm a big man, but it was very, very heartwarming, and I could definitely see that connecting with a lot of people who have lost parents. A lot of kids have gone through that, and we've all lost a loved one, and we've all have wanted to say a proper goodbye to some people, so I think that's really going to connect to people with that too. But enough of that gooey stuff. You're here because you want to hear about why I don't like the film. Everyone wants to hear why a film is bad, because that's the fun part. Picking apart a movie is the fun part, right? No one wants to hear about why a movie's good. So my biggest gripe with the film was that I felt that it was too safe. I felt that it was kind of like a cookie-cutter Pixar film. It definitely, I felt like it had so much room to grow, and it had like this world that it wanted to build. And I'll talk to that. That's another point I want to talk about too. But there wasn't really anything too. It was your average, just like mystical adventure with your, your two buddy like road trip. Basically let's go to point A to point B. We'll have some shenanigans in between, meet some wacky characters, and the film's done. There also wasn't really a big twist in the film, which I don't really mind, and there wasn't any big villain reveal, which Pixar has in the past liked to do, and I'm really glad that they stood away from that. There wasn't really a big villain in this film, aside from the big rock monster they had to defeat, and a couple of minor characters that get in the way of their quest, and also the boyfriend of the mom, who's also an officer and also a centaur. We'll get to him in a bit too. He was kind of, I don't want to, I guess you could call him an antagonist. He wasn't really a villain. He was just kind of like, stop doing stupid shit and getting yourself in danger and get back home because your mom's worrying about you. So I wouldn't really call him a villain or anything. But he's definitely an obstacle, I would say. That brings me to the world building. One of the things that I was super stoked about when I saw this was, of course, I love fantasy, I love magic and all that. And when you have this world, there's so much you could do with it. And then when you add in the factor that, they're mystical beings in a society almost like ours, I feel like they kind of dropped the ball, because I feel like the world that they created didn't fit the characters. Like, the characters didn't fit in that world that they themselves have created for them. And I'm going to go back to Zootopia, which I feel that did great world building and felt like a very real world that these characters lived in and created themselves. If you look at Zootopia, all of the transportation and all the housing and all the stuff that's built towards specific animals is built that way. You don't see a giraffe trying to get into a Fiat 500. It's not just for a gag, which they do in this film, almost. You see giraffes in cars that are made for the giraffes, and you see that the transportation is made for small little mice or for hippos that have waterways. And in this film, you have the giant centaur cop boyfriend thing getting into a tiny car, and it's a gag because he can't get into the car. And it's well, why did they create? You don't want to be that person, but it's kind of takes you out of why is this like this? There's also other scenes big orcs riding tiny little tricycles that are delivering the paper, or tiny sprites driving big Harleys, and it feels again like these mystical creatures were dropped into our world and are kind of adapting to that, and I just feel that they don't look like they belong in there. Again, that's not a huge deal breaker for me, but after seeing what they did with Zootopia and Inside Out and with Coco, and seeing how those characters interacted with the world that they created, and how they fit with it. This one kind of felt like they didn't fit with their world at all. So, on to the last and final gripe that I have with this film, and that is the side characters. I felt like they didn't really leave an impact, and that they were kind of just blended into the background. We really only get 3 major like side characters, I would say. That would be the mom, the centaur boyfriend, and who's a cop,
or a football-playing king in space with a mustache.
And then the manticore, which is this giant lion, scorpion, dragon thing. Again, I'm sorry, I don't know my monsters. But she owns this like tavern, and she's the one that sets our heroes off to the quest. And she's just there for a couple of jokes. She's kind of like the, Ian talks to her like, you used to be this super badass, and and used to like kill monsters, and now you're running like a Chuck E. Cheese, and she kind of just like flips, and it's a pretty funny scene actually. However, I felt they just don't use her as much. Her and the mom kind of come in at the last minute to help out with the final fight. But when you look at other, again, I hate doing this, but when you look at other Pixar films that have like these standout background characters or secondary characters, like Frozen 2, like even though I was kind of disappointed with that film, it's a whole different story too. Or like Coco, or Inside Out, or Zootopia, or just those other films like that, where like you can name their secondary characters right off the bat. And for these ones, I literally forgot them the minute I walked out of the theater. I was like, well, I didn't know they were in the film. So now we're going to come to my verdict, and I don't like numbers, the number scale, the 1 through 10s, or the 1 through 5 stars. I just feel like it's arbitrary, and this is my channel, so I'm going to do what I want. So the way I'm going to rank them is a 4 tier. Let me check my notes again. Let me check my notes again on the other page. Yeah, they're a 4 tier. You can see how super duper organized I am. So we'll stop at the very, very top. The very, very top. And this is going to be like my the best rating I can give a film. When I go into films, basically, I want to be entertained, and that's kind of where I base my everything off of. Like, was I entertained? Yes or no, and then go from there, right? So from the very tippy top, I have another one for the collection.
Your lightsabers will make a fine addition to my collection.
I don't know why I said that like that. But anyway, so this is like a film that I watched in theaters, and I seen it. I'm like, man, I've got to buy that for Blu-ray, and I've got to have like the nice cover and the 4K and everything, right? Like, I need to have it. I need to own it. The next one is I'll stream it. It's pretty, pretty self-explanatory. But I like to think of it as if I was having a date, or if I was having like friends over or something, I will actively go and watch this film, or like stream this film. For this, it would be on Disney Plus, and I would actively watch it again if I had the chance, but I wouldn't necessarily need to own it. And now we're going to the bottom tiers of my rankings, and then we have background noise, which is if I'm doing something else, like if I'm doing homework or school or any other work, or I'm cleaning my room or the house, I'll just put it on the background noise because I won't hate that it's there, but I'm not really paying attention to it. And if I go to the living room and like it's on HBO or something like that, I'm not gonna change the channel. But again, I'm not gonna actively search for this film to watch it. And lastly, the bottom, the doo-doo of my ratings is can I get in line now to not see that again?
Hey, can I get in line now to not see it?
We'll reslate.
So basically, that's me walking out of the film and going, man, I just wasted my entire life on this film. I wasted 3 hours or 2 hours, whatever. I could have been home doing something better, solving the cure for Corona or something like that. Also, stay safe, guys. Wash your hands, right? Just wash your hands. Don't cough into people's mouths. So that's going to bring us to my verdict for Onward. And I'm going to give it, drumroll please, the Stream It Award. So, all in all, I felt like this was a very safe Pixar film. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't bad. It wasn't super great. It wasn't another classic, in my opinion. It definitely is a good film. Like, if you want to watch it again on a rainy day, I'll definitely pop it on and, watch it. But I'm not going to be super as invested like I would be, like, again, Coco or Zootopia. It's definitely a good mid-tier Pixar film. It's going to do good. I also felt like it kind of got pushed to the side because of Frozen 2's just multi-billion-dollar campaign fund that they were doing, you know. All of the just commercials and all of like the merchandising was on Frozen 2, and I heard nothing about Onward, and even on their Instagram page, you know, it was mostly Frozen 2. Like right now it's buy Frozen 2 on Blu-ray right now, or, you know, stuff like that. I didn't really see any like merchandise for Onward while I was out and about. Again, it's all Frozen right now. So I kind of feel like this was kind of just pushed to the side, and like, you know, well, yeah, of course people are gonna watch it because the Disney Pixar logo's on it, and Chris Pratt and Tom Holland are in it. But all in all, guys, I was happy with the film. Again, I wouldn't buy it, but I definitely would watch it again. What did you guys think about Onward? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do way more content on this channel, guys. I do everything because, you know, that's just what I want to do. And as always, I'm Latino Goose, and adios.